Hello, Carl again from selfsufficienthub.com, and we are out in the garden. It is late April and we have just come across down here this St. George's mushroom. So this is the first one I've seen this year. I did see some here last year, so I will expect a few more. They quite often grow in rings. They're a great mushroom for the forager for a couple of reasons, and the first reason I always consider a mushroom to be great for foragers is being easy to identify, and this one actually is relatively easy, and we'll go through the key identification features shortly like I usually do. But the other couple of reasons are the time of year it grows. So it's up now around springtime. It gets its name because it quite often comes up around St. George's Day. So that's why it's called St. George's mushroom. And the second reason is that when you get them, you quite often get a profusion of mushrooms. They grow in rings. You quite often get quite a lot. So those are some of the reasons why it's such a great forager's mushroom. Now, with regards to identification, the first two features are the simplest, and that is time of year and habitat. So it will grow generally on grassland. As you can see, this area was entirely lawn until fairly recently. We've done all this planting down through here because this is all going to be a food forest. We're allowing for the edge of this bit of woodland, which is already peppered with a few apple trees and things like that, to encroach over to our boundary there, and we're introducing a lot of food, edible species here to create a food forest. But this essentially, habitat wise, is lawn, but you do find them on the edges of woodland. So even once these trees are up, I don't think it's going to have too much of an inhibitive effect on these mushrooms. I think they're going to keep coming back. But so habitat is grassland and verges, that you can find them in urban settings on verges quite frequently. And the other features, one of the important ones, is it's not growing out of an egg sac. So that eliminates a lot of the dangerous species that it could be, the Uraminata families. So it's not got a bulbous base. It's a nice stout mushroom, but the base isn't bulbous particularly. And then one of the biggest features beyond those initial ones that I've said is the smell. So we're going to have a sniff now. And it's often described as mealy. I describe it as flowery. I think it smells like flour. So a mealy smell, and it's quite a distinct smell. I'm not very good with smells usually of mushrooms, but this one I'm okay with. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut it in half, and then I can show you the inside. So excuse the knife I'm using. It's quite a ridiculously large knife, but it's the only one I have on me. So we're going to cut him down the middle. And as you can see, he's a little bit discoloured because we've had quite a lot of rain, but ultimately it's the same colour all the way through, white all the way through, and the gills are quite small. They don't take up much of this space. There's quite a lot of meat in the cap. So also, if you are struggling with the smell, then once you've cut it, the smell gets a lot stronger. Another tip generally for smelling mushrooms, because some of them are identified by smell. Another tip is if you've got any kind of mushroom and one of the key identifiers that you're trying to use is smell, and you're struggling to smell it, then just pop it in the oven on a low heat for 5 minutes or so, and that really does accentuate the smell. So that's a good little tip generally for mushroom identification. But there you go, St. George's mushrooms. Very happy. So as always, if you find these videos valuable, there's several ways you can support them. The easiest is to leave a comment down below, press that like button. Please do subscribe to our channel. I put videos out like this pretty much on a weekly basis, a bit more frequently than that usually. I cover all sorts of topics, from animal husbandry, raising your own food, growing vegetables, foraging for mushrooms, bushcraft, all that kind of stuff. So do subscribe. I just wanted to make a quick announcement as well. We've launched a podcast, the Self-Sufficient Hub podcast. It's a daily podcast at present, and it covers all the sort of things that I cover here. So if you're interested in self-sufficiency and sustainability and food security, it's definitely something you should check out. So find us on all your usual podcast platforms. Self-Sufficient Hub podcast. Cheers.